This is a game I heard about a while back and got interested in, but had trouble tracking down a copy for myself. It's a different take on miniature space battles, but you don't actually have miniatures. The game uses like credit cards with images on them, and the whole thing is basically like you're watching the battle take place on a radar screen, and you have blips for fighters and mines and the actual outlines of the ships for the ships. It's nice because it gives you the feel of miniature combat without the price of having to buy all the miniatures. I think the company who made it unfortunately went out of business and only managed to make 2 of the, I think there were 5 expansions that were planned. So there's this and 1 expansion to it. But you can see here the outline of one of the ships. And it's interesting. The one complaint I did have, the box that came with it opens at the top instead of being a normal game box, you know, where the top lifts off. That was kind of annoying. It's made of really thin material. They did fix that. I do have the expansion here. I might as well show that as well. This is the expansion that did get made. Imperial Crusade Freedom. And this one comes in an actual, it reminds me of an old VHS case. And it's hard plastic, buckles together, holds everything in the expansion. Unfortunately, it's not big enough to hold both expansions worth of stuff, but definitely an improvement on that. I like where they were headed. It's too bad the company went out. I'll open it up and show you what comes with the base set, show you what comes with Freedom. If you can track down a copy, it is kind of fun, so we'll take a look. So this is a look at what's inside the Imperial Crusade Armada, which was the base version of the game. I think there were 2 cards. I think it was this one and this one, which were promos from the original Kickstarter. It's like a heavy battleship, and there's one for each faction. And then there was a space station, one for each faction. All the rest of the cards are the same faction on both sides. So you get down here, you have your Imperium ships. They get a lot more ships than the Republic. There's your 2 different factions. This is a Freedom heavy cruiser from the Star Republic. And this is a Empress Imperial Dreadnought from the Imperium. And you can see they're double-sided. There's different ships on the other side. All these icons are the weapons on board. The color pertains to which direction they can shoot. Down here you have your agility, your movement, and this one here is your fighter complement. Everything you need to know is right on the cards. There's a reference guide in the rule book, which I should have went to first, but I didn't. You have your front shields, rear shields. There's a dividing line in the card to represent the front and rear of the ship. This is your power grid, how much you have to spend. Sensor grids over here, and structure points over here. If your entire shield gets knocked out, damage goes to your structure points. If your structure points gets knocked out, your ship is destroyed. I have a pretty nice rule book. Got some good artwork on the cover there. It does a good job of explaining everything. There's a lot of text in here. Unfortunately, your first time playing, you're going to be looking at this a lot. There's your fighter icon. Explains how fighters work. All your different weapon icons have descriptions. The more complicated ones have diagrams explaining how they work. There's diagrams about combat phase, how you can shoot, what angles you can shoot at. A glossary in the back. This has fleet tactics, which are an add-on. You can spend these extra points to get new abilities, basically. There's generic ones that are available to any fleet. Then there's fleet-specific ones for the Imperium and the Star Republic. Some of these were errated later on. They're in a PDF you can download that has the new wordings on them. There's even a handful of missions in the back, so you can play with the missions too. And then a cheat sheet of the turn phase on the back for quick reference. I was impressed that you actually get this Neat tape measure comes with it. Comes out. It's got Imperial on one side and metric on the other. So depending on where you live, it's still useful. Locks in place, and it retracts when you push the button. It doesn't whip back, and it's of a plastic type material, so it's not sharp, so you don't have to worry about kids playing with them. You get a dry erase marker with it. You probably end up going to replace this eventually with your own anyway, but that's how you keep track of anything in the game, is it's all done right on the cards. So if you took 3 hits to your shields, didn't mark very well on the camera. There you go. I got 3 hits to my shields at the end of the turn. When your shields regenerate, they wipe right off. The cards are made of a nice, thick, almost the same material you get credit cards made out of. And yeah, it's plastic. It's not cardboard like a lot of games, so they wipe off. They're not going to leave marks. You're not going to scratch the paint off. They came out really good as far as that goes. You get a die 10, which you're going to be using to make initiative rolls and other things. And you get a nice pile of these tokens. They're somewhat transparent, you can see there. They represent different things in the games: mines, fighters, gunships, and so on. The game's a lot of fun. It plays a little less strategic than a lot of space combat. I mean, compare it to Attack Wing, for instance. There's a lot less to it as far as that goes. It's more of a you build your fleet, I build my fleet, we meet in the middle and blow the hell out of each other type game. There is some maneuvering and things. Certain weapons only fire in straightforward directions and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it's basically just a brawling type game. Like I said, when you get a fleet of these ships moving across the battlefield, you've got the outlines of the ships here for the bigger capital ships, and you're going to have these little blips all over the map for fighters. So it really looks like you're watching the game on a radar. You're playing one of the big fleet battles in space, and you're down on the ground controlling it, watching it on your screens. So it gives you that kind of feel. I think it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things to learn in the beginning, all the different weapon icons. So anyway, that's a look at Imperial Crusade Armada. I'll open up Imperial Crusade Freedom and give you a show. It's pretty much the same thing. They added a couple new factions, which was the plan for the expansions, was to add new factions each time. I almost forgot, these are some of the things that came with the original Crusade Armada set for scenery. You have your asteroid fields here, a black hole, and a planet. And there's rules in the PDF, and I think they might be in the scenario section of the actual rule book, explaining how to use them and what effects they have on the game. Kind of a neat little thing. I'm not sure why the asteroids are in belts like this, but maybe they were meant to be cut up. Who knows? Anyway, just wanted to throw those in there. So this is a look at what comes in the Imperial Crusade Freedom box. This was the first and unfortunately last expansion to the game. You get 2 new factions, another I think 40 ships each, more of the tokens to be used as mines or fighters, another one of those cool tape measures that's in Imperial and metric, another D10 for your rolls, another dry erase marker. The fleets are pretty much the only thing. It's all more of the same overall. You have the Outland Alliance over here. They have some interesting ships. A lot of new weapons were released in this, as well as gunships. And our other faction is the Free Trade Coalition. Again, have a bunch of new weapons that we haven't seen before. There's our landmines, or space mines, whatever you want to call them. Now the downside to this one is it did not come with a rule book, so you have to go online and download a PDF. I only printed out a couple pages that pretty much pertain to the important stuff. explains what each location and item is on a ship. And there's a listing of all your new weaponry. And an updated fleet tactics. General, and then for each of the factions have their own section. There's a lore section explaining the background history of the two factions in the expansion. Like I said, there's much more in the actual PDF. I only printed out the important pages. So there you have it. This game-wise, it plays exactly the same as the original, just new factions, so you can play up to 4 players. Like you couldn't before with just using multiple people per faction, but now you actually have 4 separate factions. So the plan was to keep going on and adding more and more factions, but unfortunately after this game came out, the producer went back and did a Kickstarter for a reprint of the original game, and it failed, and apparently he lost hope after that and scrapped the entire project. So there's a big group of us on Board Game Geek that love the game. They play it. I think there's even someone working on a Vassal type online version of it, so we can play against each other because we're all over the world. But as far as new stuff coming out, don't see that happening anytime soon. Anyway, it is a fun game. It's an alternative to expensive miniature games. I think these were going for, I want to say $20 to $30 for a box. And you get 42 ships in the original set, and I think another 40 in the expansion. They're all double-sided, so you technically get twice that many, but you can only use that many at a time. And they're really good quality for what they are. I just don't think the game itself caught on as much. Maybe some more advertising would have done it. It is fun to play. It gives you the feel of giant spaceships blowing the hell out of each other, which was the intent as far as I know. If it looks like something you'd be interested, check it out. It's kind of hard to track down a copy, but if you can get one, it is a lot of fun, and there's enough here that you can support multiple players, so not everybody needs their own copy. You can share, you know, one copy of the base game with 2 people and each have a faction or each have half a faction, and you still got plenty to choose from. So anyway, that's Imperial Crusade. Hope you like it.